to acknowledge your contribution to what was a once-in-a-lifetime, once-in-a-generation event here in Australia. But I'll have more to say about that in a moment. I also join in the acknowledgement of traditional owners. Thank you, Brett, for that. And acknowledge Ms. Georgie Cornish, the Deputy Chief Officer, South Australian Country Fire Service, Commander Peter Phillips, Regional Commander, members of the South Australian Country Fire Service, all those gathered here today, Ms. Leanne Schmidt, Regional Commander of South SES, Christopher Shaw, the District Officer of the SES, members of the SES that are with us, family members in particular today. Thank you for being here today, ladies and gentlemen. This is the third National Emergency Medal presentation that I've been able to conduct in the last 2 days. One up in the Adelaide Hills yesterday, one down at the headquarters in Adelaide, now here. So why do I do this? 2019, 2020, and you're frontline people, so you don't need me to paint the picture. But with bushfires that commenced in Peregian waters, Peregian Beach, up in southern Queensland, that ran all the way around to Kangaroo Island, devastated so much of the countryside in between, ravaged countryside, enormous losses that we had not seen for many seasons beforehand. It really brought the country on edge about what was happening. Now, nature takes its course in all this, but we don't succeed in combating those events without people who are prepared to get out of bed and go out and do something about it. And when we, government, and then the appropriate committees decide that a particular event fits the criteria for the award of the National Emergency Medal, that tells you something particular about your effort. We being Linda and I, came to Kangaroo Island on the 5th of January and had a real, I suppose, a sense, as I say, we weren't on the front line, but a sense of what had happened. We've been here since to, I think, check the temperature, see how things are recovering, see how people are going, get a sense of where the community is. But in all that, we couldn't have been able to do that if it wasn't for you. So in another sense, the National Emergency Medal is saying, yes, that was a big incident in the history of the country, we need to recognise your service. But in a very simple way, it says thank you. And it's thank you to you, through you, to the rest of your colleagues who served, and through you, particularly, I want to say to the families who support you. I know that people can't put on uniforms and go and do their business without support on the home front. So this ceremony is very much for families today as well. So thank you for joining us. We're deeply indebted to what you do. There was tragedy here on the island with the loss of Dick and Clayton Lang, but there were many saves. And often when I travel around talking to your kin in other states and here in South Australia, yes, we talk about the losses, but you know as well as I do, the numbers that are critical are how many properties, lives, homes, livelihoods were saved. And for that, again, the nation is deeply grateful to you. So thank you for that. Australians are a fairly humble group. I know that for many of you sitting there, you'll be saying, but I don't do this for medals. I don't turn up to be recognised. I do it because I think it's important. Well, I want you to put your humility aside this afternoon. And when you come forward, be proud. Don't be boastful, but be proud of what you have done, because your country wants to recognise it. When I conduct investitures at Government House, and I can say 99% of the people that come through the door will say, I don't deserve this, I'm just doing what any person will do, and so on. I say yes, but I'm actually presenting it to you for a reason. And that's what I'm doing today. Unfortunately, I can't get to all the NEM presentations around the country, physically impossible. But I hope that being able to participate in at least 3 here in South Australia, I am sending a very clear message to Country Fire Service, others, the SES, other people who joined in to fight these fires, that your efforts are enormously valued and appreciated by your fellow Australians. It's as simple as that. So let's get on with the ceremony. Acknowledge your service. Thank you, because you epitomise what I use, a phrase I use about Australians so often. There's a richness of spirit in Australia, a real richness of spirit. This morning we were at the 80th anniversary of the Banda Island massacre, where the nurses were killed 80 years ago, World War II. Major Irene Drummond, the commander of the nurses, as they were being marched into the water, said to them, "Chins up, girls, I'm proud of you and I love you all." That's the spirit that we see here. That's the richness of spirit that makes us what we are. And you're very much part and parcel of that really rich fabric of Australia's history. So thank you for what you do. Right, you don't need me to tell you how good you are any further, because we're now going to recognise it physically. But as I say, in the most simple of terms, a grateful nation says thank you. Well done.
Thank you kindly, sir, for those kind words. I'd now like to introduce Deputy Chief Officer Georgie Cornish to speak.
Thank you very much, Brett. Your Excellency David Hurley, Mrs. Linda Hurley, welcome. Thank you very much for coming along today. Regional Commander Leanne Schmidt, welcome. Mayor Pengelly, welcome. Guests here today, and of course fellow CFS members, thank you very much for coming along today for this special day. This week, we farewelled and paid tribute to an incredible volunteer firefighter. We paid tribute to Louise Higgs, an individual who epitomises everything that volunteering is. The loss of Louise has reminded us all of the danger that each and every person, when they respond to their pager, faces. And for that, I thank each and every one of you here today. Yet importantly, Louise's family reminded us of the pride and the opportunity that comes with service. CFS members are absolutely integral to communities. We all know that. That's why we're here. That's why we're part of it. But Louise's passing is absolutely a bitter reminder of why the work that CFS does is so important, and why the work that you do as members is so important. So thank you. I would also like to take the opportunity to thank the Governor-General for his enduring support and interest in CFS and in the service. The comment that you made in terms of having been here 3 times is absolutely a tribute to your interest and your genuine concern and maintains and sustained interest. Thank you. These National Emergency Medals are being awarded to firefighters who battled the worst bushfires in our nation's history. In South Australia, there will, of course, be thousands of recipients of these, but for those who are here today, we are fortunate enough to have the Governor-General deliver those. The South Australian 2019-2020 bushfire season was absolutely the worst on record. You all know that. You fought them. When we think about 3 deaths, 196 homes lost, countless livestock and agricultural production lost as well. I have no doubt that those losses would have been significantly greater had it not been for your courageous efforts on those days. As someone who was heavily involved in the recovery process, I can absolutely assure you that every save that you made, every inch that you didn't let the fire take, was well and truly a game changer for families. So thank you again. In addition to responding to these significant and prolonged fires here in South Australia, as the Governor-General mentioned, there were of course many other fires happening across the country, and CFS sent 1,500 personnel to Queensland, to New South Wales over a 3-month period. Ultimately a Herculean effort by so many to attend not just Queensland, not just New South Wales, but to back it up here in South Australia. It is really impossible to measure the enormous sacrifices made by our crews, but the contribution made for that successful firefighting efforts not only saved life and property, as I mentioned before, but also brought huge benefits across the country and the state, saving thousands of homes, saving thousands of businesses, and quite frankly, saving thousands of livelihoods as well. These awards, of course, are not just a reflection of the incredible work done by our volunteers. They are about the support and the family and the friends who sit there and support and enable our volunteers to attend. The recipients today have gone when the pager goes off, and I know that that leaves a family picking up the pieces, often at short notice, to do that. So thank you for all that enduring support. Our CFS volunteers on Kangaroo Island have continued to show their commitment and leadership since the days of those bushfires. And I think most recently of the impressive response to the Kangaroo Island complex fires last December in 2021. Thank you for your ongoing leadership in that regard. The crews were swift and were professional in their response to protect yet again the Kangaroo Island community. CFS and our members are collectively recognised as an outstanding firefighting and rescue organisation, and I know recipients who received their awards today will rightly wear those with pride, knowing that you are absolutely part of a team and a huge team effort. So congratulations once again.
Thank you, Deputy Chief Officer Cornish. I would now like to invite Mr. Tim Granger from the Office of the Governor-General to come forward and officiate the presentations.
Thank you, Deputy Chief. My name is Tim Granger. I'm the Director of External Engagement for the Office of the Governor-General, and it's the Office of the Governor-General that administers the Australian Honours and Awards system. And within that system is the National Emergency Medal, and that's what we've come here today to present. I'll echo what the Governor-General said and what Deputy Chief has said in highlighting the fact that that medal is all about recognising the contributions that have been made by those here in Kingscote, those across Kangaroo Island, and indeed those throughout the state of South Australia. I won't recap on the significance of the events in 2019-2020 that has brought the colleagues here and have brought those members to be awarded or recognised today. What I will do is I'll ask the Governor-General to join me on stage, and we'll begin the presentation in a moment. Your Excellency, to be awarded the National Emergency Medal with Class Bushfires 2019-2020 from the South Australian Country Fire Service, Mr. Graham Barrett. Mr. Hamish Brown. Mrs. Bridget Bruce.
That's Jane Guy's sister. Jane Guy's sister.
Mr. Richard Cotterill. Mr. Kane Davis.
Okay. Step.
Mr. Daniel Dunstan.
Lost it now. Thank you.
Mr. Jamie Florence. Miss Karen Fricky. Mr. Jason Furness. Mr. Anthony Gilbert.
Jason, stop there. Jason.
Mr. Colin Groves and Miss Patricia Groves. Mr. James Holland. Mr. John Holman. Mrs. Gayleen Ingram. Mr. Simon Lovering. Mr. Jack Mumford. Mr. Samuel Mumford. Mr. Brendan Rees. Mr. William Stevens. Mr. Michael Swain. Ms. Sharon Tucker.
Get ready.
Mr. David West. Mr. Peter Whaley. Mr. Andrew Wood. Ladies and gentlemen, and Your Excellency, to be awarded the National Emergency Medal with class for bushfires 2019-2020 from the South Australian State Emergency Service. Mr. Nicholas Askew. Mr. Mark Booker. Mr. Bevan Garmeister. Mr. Ross Johnson.
Maybe Aaron.
Ms. Karen Morris Black. Mr. Andrew Sullivan. Mr. Aaron Wilsh. Your Excellency, that concludes the presentation to the South Australian Country Fire Service and the South Australian State Emergency Service.
We should acknowledge them all now. Well done.
Thank you, and congratulations to all of today's recipients. Today's ceremony was particularly enriched by the SES and CFS being able to join together today to celebrate both our agencies' worthwhile members. The emergency services are a tight-knit family that cannot function without all agencies participating and working seamlessly together. And whether that's the support the CFS received during 1920 from the SES, our colleagues in SAPOL, or the South Australian Ambulance Service, it is a team effort to bring it all together. And we are very grateful that the SES will be part of today's ceremony. So thank you. That concludes today's ceremony. I would like to extend our sincere thanks to the team here at Kingscote campus for hosting us. And I would like to extend a special thank you to the small team from the CFS and the Office of the Governor General for all their work in organising the ceremonies that we have been privileged to have in South Australia. The professionalism and dedication of the team to these events has been greatly appreciated. I'd also like to celebrate the many members of family who have travelled here to be with us today. Thank you so much for making today even more special. I would ask that you please stand and join their excellencies for light refreshments outside post the event. So everybody please stand, and thank you, congratulations, stay safe.